everyone, and welcome to the Theater of Football. We're changing things up a little bit today, and I will be hosting. So I'm Patrick, and I'm joined by the ever-present Mike. And today we are talking about upcoming transfer windows and where opportunity is for Manchester United to make some improvements, and looking forward into the future where we see some potential openings for gaps to fill in future transfer windows and in the years to come. So as we look at what Manchester United has done recently in adding a attacking midfielder now that we have in Bruno Fernandes and adding a striker that we have in Odion Ighalo, one weakness that we've been talking about, Mike, is the right side of the field. What do you think? Does Mason Greenwood shore up the right side for you, or do you think we have some more opportunity to make some additional improvements?
Given his recent performances, there's reason to be optimistic about his ability to come in off that right side and contribute goals and assists. You look at Dan James, who's played probably the majority of the games out there in Solskjaer's favored 4-2-3-1 formation. He just doesn't look very comfortable, at least not yet. You see him play a lot better when he's playing on the left wing, or even through the middle when we've had to, or not had to, but Solskjaer's decided to employ a 3-5-2 formation. Mm-hmm. So he looks more effective in those spots right now. But that doesn't mean he can't learn from Mason Greenwood, who grew up more of a center forward and is now taking the opportunity he's been given to play on the right side and contribute goals and assists like he did on Tuesday against Brighton. So to answer your question, he can. And normally I would say we should go in for like Jadon Sancho. And get him signed. Jadon's a very talented player, but I'm seeing rumors that that Dortmund want over 100 million pounds. So that, given today's economy, spending power for clubs, I just don't see that happening, unfortunately. So I mean, we might have to lean on Greenwood to be that to play that role for us, and he's shown he can. But I'm hesitant to really throw him out there week in and week out. I still kind of want to nurture him a little, see him be kind of nurtured along a little bit. But there are other opportunities, other players out there. I saw we were rumored to be in for Willian, who has looked good to me since coming back from the lockdown. He is 31. Apparently a sticking point with Chelsea was the fact that he wants a 3-year contract and Chelsea would only give him a 2-year contract. Does that mean United are willing to give Willian a 3-year contract on wages around £200,000 a week? I'm not too keen on that deal, even if it's a free transfer. You could see potentially 18, 24 months down the line that we're in a similar situation as we've been in with like Alexis Sanchez with a player who's potentially unhappy or just not contributing and is on high wages, and we're trying to offload the player to another club, whether, with what Ole's trying to do with the squad and trying to get out from under bad contracts. I don't think bringing in a player like Willian at 31 to a 3-year deal sends the right message to the other players in the dressing room or the fans around the world.
Yeah, I know they're holding the purse strings a little tight with Solskjaer this year, as I'm sure they are with a lot of other clubs right now. So another area to take a look at is the defensive midfielder. Do you think that we need to add or could add a bit another player there, or are you comfortable with where we're at right now with our defensive midfield?
I believe Matic just recently his contract was extended, so that's good given his form over the past 6 months for us. Mm-hmm. He's been fantastic in that time. I mean, he's been one of one of our best players. Before that, it was Fred, but Modic, once he got the chance to come back into the side, has performed really well. He had a terrible preseason, I thought. So yeah, I looking at the midfield. There's a player I really like is Declan Rice at West Ham. If they get relegated, maybe we could get a decent deal done for him. But I know Chelsea are interested in him too. So it may be difficult if you bring in other clubs. They might drive the price up. He's a young player already. He's going to command a high transfer value. Whether or not they get relegated, I don't know how much of an effect that'll have on his value. So that might be a difficult one to get done. I would lean towards trying to shore up that right side before signing a defensive mid, just because Modic has been in such good form. I know he's in his early 30s now, but I'd rather have some cover on the right than risk. I think we have a good number of players in the middle. You got Modic, you got Pogba, you got Fred, you got McTominay. Bruno can drop deeper. Not his best position, as we saw when he played his first match against Wolves, and Solskjaer just deployed him back there for most of the game. So he can do that too. And there's also a young kid, Hannibal Mejbri, we signed for £9 million at 16 from Monaco. Mm-hmm. And he started out with the under 18s, I believe, but he's broken into the under 21s, and from all accounts, looks like he could break into the first team next year. So it'll be interesting to watch him. I've watched a couple of his matches with the reserves, and he reminds me a lot of Pogba. So that could be – he's definitely an interesting prospect to watch. And I don't want to forget about James Garner either, because when I've seen him play, he looks like a good player as well. So I think there's some depth in midfield. There's less of that as far as our wingers go, especially with players who can play on the right. So I trust Modic can hold down the fort for the next 12 months, maybe 12, 18 months, and then we can look to really add players there, because we're just not going to add. Some pundits say we need to add 4, 5, 6 players to be realistic title contenders, but
yeah,
I hope that's not the case. Hopefully we could add 1 or 2, and that'll be enough to do the trick. Maybe the Fernandez signing in January was just kind of what the club needed to raise, other players' form and attitudes. Hopefully we just got to go with it, because I don't think we're going to be able to spend the type of money we need to.
Yeah, probably going to need to be very selective. So where are you comfortable with right now in the players that Manchester United has? Where do you think that we are strong right now and don't really need to add anything to?
That's a tough one, because you asked me about the whole defensive midfield, holding midfielders, and I feel like that's like the one area that we have plenty of cover in. It really, and I wouldn't have thought that after losing Ander Herrera and Marouane Fellaini, so close to one another, that we wouldn't really replace them with anybody yet still be strong. That is a testament to Fred and his improved form, and Modic showing his worth when he was finally given the chance this year. So really, we're going to need a striker, I feel like, when Igalo goes back to China in January. That's one area we definitely need support in. And there are other positions we've added, like Wan-Bissaka is going to be a great right back for us for the next decade. Yeah. But you look at how Dalot played against Norwich, and defensively he's pretty poor. So yeah. He can do some things going forward. But as far as what I like to see out of my fullbacks, I want them to be solid defensively first. So there are positions where you just need better depth, and that's hard to really buy to bring into the club, to sell to players like, hey, we're bringing you in to be second choice to Wan-Bissaka. And they look at Wan-Bissaka, I believe he's 21,
Yeah.
and they're like, and you bring in like somebody who's 24, 25, they're probably thinking, I'm never going to be first choice here.
Yeah.
I either got to find another position or sign elsewhere. So what do you think we need to add, Patrick?
Well, no, I definitely also agree. With shoring up the right side. I don't think Mason Greenwood is going to be a long term. Like a high endurance player that we can keep using over and over again. I am definitely also interested in opportunities that we can take to look at long term replacing Matic. I think that in the gameplay that he's had over the last 5 or 6 matches has really shown that he's solidified his quality as an asset to that midfield. So I think we need to really think about looking at a replacement for him. Like you said, I think probably that's more long term than short term right now. So probably in the next 12 or 18 months. But I definitely think that one option we could have, and something that we had been talking about earlier, is do we just get for the right side, sign a cheap short-term option that we can fit in for the meantime, and maybe pick up a player and put him on the right side that can help to bolster the offense over there, and then look more long-term on bringing in someone else to help support Mason Greenwood on the right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on that note, I read today that Tim Sherwood, who used to be the manager at Aston Villa, said he thought that the Jack Grealish to Man United deal has already been done. I don't believe a word he says, but that is a player we've been heavily rumored with. He can play on either wing behind the striker, and he can also sit a little deeper if necessary. Mm-hmm. I think he would be a good player to add to the squad, but the fee I've been seeing as of late is that Villa, regardless of whether or not they get relegated, want £80 million for him. And even if this pandemic was not going on and clubs were hit hard by finances, I would never pay $80 million for Jack Grealish. And I wouldn't even I wouldn't even get into negotiations. If they're starting off at $80 million, I'm not wasting my time if I'm Ole or Ed Woodward. Woodward's wasted plenty of his time chasing down, going down blind alleys in the past, as we all know. But so don't be surprised if he does it, and we don't get the player, or we end up signing him for $80 million. But if you're not going to go after Jadon Sancho for £100 million, then you're sure as heck not going to go after Grealish for $80 million. Yeah, that's my opinion. If you're going to pay $80 million for Grealish, then go ahead and try and get the other 20 and go get Sancho, because he's younger and he's much better fit to what we need. He'll contribute goals and he can play down the right. And then we can give Greenwood. I think you brought up Greenwood not being. We don't want to burn him out, pretty much. Yeah. And I feel like we did that to Dan James, or Ole. I shouldn't say we, because you and I aren't on the coaching staff. But I feel like Ole and his staff did that to Dan James this season by continuing to push him out there on the right wing when he just wasn't putting in the performances necessary. Just doesn't look comfortable there at all yet. So it's better that they work with him on the training ground to get him more comfortable there before unleashing him every 3 days in that position.
Do you think he has the capability to support that?
I'm not going to write him off yet. I like his speed. I think when he came on against Brighton, he maybe was looking for his goal too much, but he kept putting himself in good positions. That's another knock that you can have against him, is that his final ball isn't good enough. I mean, he had in the Spurs match, he had Rashford with an acre of space on the far post. When James got free down the right and he drilled the cross and overhit Rashford. If he hit a cross like Greenwood hit for Bruno's second goal on the South Coast, then just lofted it back post, and Rashford would have put it away. I would think he would put it away. He should put it away. So,
Yeah, we can hope.
But it's just the decision making there once you do get yourself into those good positions. And right now down that right wing, he just doesn't get himself into the right kinds of positions he needs to. So, but I think that's something that we can work with and getting him better at. So he's still, I think, 21, 22. So I'm not going to ride him. We just signed him last summer. So we got plenty of time for him to come good, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to write him off completely yet. So I
Yeah.
hope he gets better and he can contribute going forward.
Yeah, well, we also don't want to, stifle that organic growth that you need to have within, a squad as well. So you need those people that can evolve and grow into a position and learn into a position, in addition to, bringing on, bringing in transfers and things like that. So I think that's good to keep in mind, in that regard as well.
That's exactly what we've seen Greenwood pretty much do this season. So, hopefully he can continue to kick on, and James will come around here soon.
Great. We're going to send a copy of this recording to Solskjaer to give him the fans' opinion, and obviously he'll probably take all of this into account when he makes his decisions. But
sure, I'm sure.
But anyway, thanks for joining us today for that conversation. The curtain is closing now on the Theater of Football. We appreciate all of you sticking around to watch us through this experience. And for Mike, I'm Patrick, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Take care.